Hello and welcome to Justice. I'm Judge Jeanine Pirro. Thanks for being with us. Donald Trump spending this final Saturday before Election Day in Florida, North Carolina, Nevada, and Colorado, while Hillary Clinton ran into some rain in the critical Sunshine State today before a campaign event tonight with pop star Katy Perry in Pennsylvania. Here are both candidates at stops within the past hour.
When your kids and grandkids ask you, you did in 2016, when it was all on the line, I want you to be able to say, I voted for a better, fairer, stronger America where everybody has a chance at the American dream.
We didn't bring any so-called stars along. We didn't need them. You know, the reason Hillary has to do that is nobody comes for her deal. She can't fill a room. We can get stars. We don't need them because we just want to make America great again, and we know what to do.
We have a packed lineup on deck tonight, including Donald Trump Jr. just minutes away. But before he makes his closing argument, I want you to hear my opening statement. This is the most important election of your lifetime. And whether you like Hillary Rodham Clinton or Donald J. Trump doesn't matter. There is only one person you can vote for. We cannot have a country led by a president subject to ongoing criminal investigations, potential indictment, and never-ending hearings. We cannot have a president under that level of scrutiny that inevitably leads to even more questions and more investigations. And irrespective of what happens to her, whether she's indicted or even guilty, it doesn't matter. Her guilt is a moot point. She cannot take the Oval Office. Now, in any other business, when the head of a corporation is plagued by scandal, that person steps down and is replaced because the board knows a business cannot succeed without respect and authority. How do you think the world is going to look at the United States when a woman under federal criminal investigation, who's lied repeatedly to the American people, is elected? Do you think they'll take her at her word? How many countries already own her through the Clinton Family Charitable Foundation, which was used to raise a minimum of $100 million just for her husband, Bill? How many countries like Morocco own her because they gave $12 million for 5 minutes with Bill? Just think. We can have our own world joke, like Bunga Bunga Prime Minister Berlusconi under constant investigation while in office and then sentenced to prison. Why, when just this week we are faced with threats of a cyber attack on Election Day, not to mention the constant threat of another terror attack on U.S. soil, when Obamacare premiums in some states are higher than mortgages? Would we put someone in the job who is distracted and not focused, not to mention a little woozy? We need a commander-in-chief focused on daily briefings, not one who, along with her staff, is worried about her and her spouse's investigation and what leverage can be used to shut that investigation down, worried about what vulnerabilities they have or whether they are being blackmailed or extorted. The only winners there are the blackmailers and the president. We are the pawns in a case like that. You and I are the ones who would pay the price. Now, I don't know how old you are, but I personally can't take another chapter of Clinton scandals. The Rose Law Firm, Cattle Futures, Travelgate, Monica Gate, the McDougalls, a husband and a wife, both of whom would rather go to jail than testify against the Clintons, and people dying of all kinds of things along the way. Impeachment. And folks, I haven't even gotten to the 21st century. The woman has a propensity to lie about anything and to forget virtually everything. It's hogwash that 20% of our uranium is sold to the Russians, thanks to the Clintons. Our Department of Justice has already been corrupted by Bill Clinton, and now brazenly, the target of that criminal investigation, Hillary, announces that she'll keep Loretta Lynch as her AG should she become president. And if you are tired of this cesspool of corruptibles and visits from the ghosts of the Clintons' past, then you simply don't have a choice. She is a woman guilty of bad judgment over and over. What makes you think her judgment is going to get better, or that she's going to work for you, or even think about you with the sword of justice at her throat? Guilty or not guilty, she is a woman who is neither capable nor worthy of leading our great nation. And if you think it's time we hire a person for the Oval Office who is proud of America, who believes in law and order, who believes that our vets take priority over illegal immigrants, that open borders present a danger to us, that it's time to make fair trade deals, who sees us as a sovereign nation, who is proud of us and our American history, who will work on making us rich instead of herself or her family, then it's time to vote for the person who believes in the Constitution, the only one who will bring change, who is willing to roll up his sleeves, who will put in the time, has both the energy and the clarity, the one who doesn't give a darn about political correctness, the one who knows how to create jobs, and yes, the one who wants to make America great again. You've got 72 hours. It's up to you. And that's my open. Tell me what you think on my Facebook page or Twitter, hashtag Judge Jeanine. And joining me now is the Executive Vice President of the Trump Organization and the son of Republican presidential candidate, Donald Trump Jr. How are you?
I'm doing great. After that, I just want to drop mics for you. That's pretty powerful, Jeanine. I'm impressed. Wow.
Well, I have to tell you, you know that I believe in your dad. I believe in you guys. I know you, and all of my listeners know that it's not just a friendship. I believe that your father has the capacity, and I think an important word that nobody talks about is the clarity. That 100%. He understands what's going on. Okay, let's talk about where we are.
Yeah.
72 hours. What does your dad have to do? Is he going to win Florida, North Carolina, Nevada, and Colorado?
Well, you know, it's interesting. The map has changed a lot in the last few days. I mean, there's a lot of states that are in play that were never supposed to be in play. I mean, we're tied up in Colorado. You know, he's going to Michigan. That hasn't gone, you know, for us in a long, long time. He's going back up to Minnesota. He's going into states, you know, so the map has changed. There's states that we no longer maybe have to win if we can pull off.
I'm going to interrupt you, Donald. We're going live to your dad. Apparently, there was a ruckus. Where is he now? He's in Reno, Nevada. There was a ruckus. Did they rush him off the stage? Secret Service just rushed him off the stage. But he's back in pure Donald form. Let's listen.
They're repealing the defense sequester. Right now, it doesn't sound that exciting, but it's very important because we're going to rebuild our badly depleted military. That means brand new modern aircraft for Naval Air Station. And you know what I'm talking. Fallon. Who's Fallon? Any? Not far from here, the Naval Air Station. We have aircraft that's 18 and 20 years old. We have aircraft much older than that. We can't even buy parts to some of our aircraft. They're so old, they don't make the parts anymore. Now see those Medal of Honor recipients?
What we're hearing now is that some people were taken out of that forum by the Secret Service, and your father was rushed off, and he's back on the stage and back to message within moments.
That's what he is. Listen.
Oh, look, there he is being rushed off. He is safe, as you can see a moment ago, and back on the stage, back on message. All right, so... All right, your reaction to that, Donald?
Well, listen, you know, it's interesting. You see it. That's the tolerant left, right? That's the same people probably that were getting paid to go incite violence at our rallies from the Democrats. I mean, that's pretty good, you know. A lot of people will go throw some punches for $1,500, especially the crazy people that the other side was hiring. So, but that's really what we're up against. You know, if this was candidate to candidate, policy to policy, track record to track record, this would have been over a long time again. But we're up against a very corrupt, very big machine. These are power players. This is how they've gotten rich. The Clintons are worth up to $250 million. Doing what? Peddling American influence, selling out America. That's what got them there. They haven't created a job. They never built anything. They didn't do any of those things, but that's what we're up against. And so if it was a fair fight, it would have been over a long time ago. But it's not a fair fight, and I think the American people are starting to see that. We always knew, but now we're seeing it in the emails. You're seeing it in the O'Keefe tapes. You're seeing it day after day after. I mean, it never ends. It's like you're watching a movie about a banana republic, but it's actually happening here in America. And I think the American people are sick of it. You know, and honestly, that's a bipartisan problem. Both sides and the elite have done this and gotten us in this mess.
And you know what? Your father saw it in the primary, and he was able to bust through it.
Yeah.
But I think that the thing that's so disappointing is that when we actually see it in the emails, like the Democrats saying, what are we going to do? POTUS, President of the United States, said he didn't know anything about a private server. What are we going to do when he was already emailing with her? I mean, this is frightening stuff. Are you disappointed?
I'm actually, listen, it's hard not to be, all right? I'm an American, I'm a patriot, I believe in what they're doing, and we are literally running up against the most corrupt candidate in the history of the presidency. Okay, there's no, I can't even name, I can't come close to
there isn't.
There's scandal after scandal. You listed them, and you're right. That wasn't even the 21st century.
Yeah, we didn't even
that
get
was just
to
the
2000.
90s and prior. You know, and so what are we saying to not only other politicians, but our children? Are we saying that kind of behavior is okay in government? You know, when the elites in Wall Street, when the elites on both sides of the political spectrum, when the media elites, when they're all up against you, guess what? You're probably doing something right.
Exactly.
It means you're fighting for the people that haven't done so well, because those guys have all done really well over the last few decades, whereas the average American hasn't had an effective pay raise in 20 years. My father's willing to take on that system. He's willing to step away from a pretty good life.
Yeah.
You've seen it. He could do whatever he wants.
He doesn't need to do this.
He doesn't need to do this. You know, and I get criticized for saying that, but he wants to do it because he wants to ensure that our kids and grandkids have the opportunity to live the American dream.
I want to get in two more questions. Why is Obama so invested in Hillary winning? And I don't want to hear, oh, his legacy. No, he's already got a legacy.
Well, listen, everyone knows that they don't like each other. I mean, I can't figure it out. Presumably because they want to, impose some sort of different rule of law in America. I mean, these are not people that believe in the Constitution. These are
law and order, or the military.
You see Hillary talking about, the Supreme Court justices she wants to put in. She disagrees with the Heller decision that people could have a firearm in their home to protect themselves. That's what this is. This isn't a 4 or 8 year election. It's a 40-year election. You lose this, you lose the court, you lose all those decisions, you plant those liberal activist judges there, and you have a very different America. You have a very different America for our kids to grow up in, and it's not one that you can recover, because once that mentality and sort of that, everything, government's always there to do something, and government has to be in every aspect of your life. Look at what government's gotten us. Whether it be the Obamacare premiums going through the roof, that's no longer affordable health care. Okay, not to mention your $9,000 deductible, right? So unless you get hit by a bus, you don't have insurance. Okay, but it's failed promise after failed promise. Giving $150 billion to Iran. Think of what we could have done with that. Well, think of what we could have done in the VA system with that, or in our education system with that. It's crazy.
Running out of time. Donald Trump Jr., I could tell your whole family has incredible energy.
Well, listen, we're passionate about it because we love this country and we want to see it go on the right path. There's a lot at stake here, and it's not so simple to just say, what we're hearing about. These guys have failed us time and time again. What's different about this batch?
Donald Trump Jr., thanks so much. And just to update you again, Donald Trump is speaking live before a crowd in Reno, Nevada. He was just rushed off that same stage just a few minutes ago after a fracas broke out in the crowd. Few people were taken away by the Secret Service. Mr. Trump has returned to the stage a few minutes later and is obviously fine and being Donald Trump. Joining me now is former Defense Intelligence Agency Director and Mr. Trump's senior advisor, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn. General, great to have you back on the show tonight. All right.
Hey, thanks for having me, Justin. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
All right, General. It's so good to have you back. Listen, I'm sure you heard what we just talked about, Donald Trump being rushed off the stage. Yeah. The left is at it again. They're so tolerant, and yet they make sure that they...
let me just say something. Let me say something about that, Justice, because I'll tell you what. The Secret Service would not want to have him come back up on the stage, honestly, after something like that. I know that.
Right.
And I know that with the guys that are around him, because they deeply, they respect him, they love him, and they would not want him to come up after an incident like that.
Right.
So that just shows you that the the resilience, the toughness, the leader that we have in Donald Trump to get back up on that stage and continue to get his message across to the American public at such a critical time. His desire to not, be pushed
he's
down like some of these people are doing.
General,
exactly.
He's not backing off. All right. There's no doubt about it, but I want to ask you a couple things. Look, you were appointed by President Barack Obama as the twice director of National Intelligence Agency, as well as what's the other agency?
Well, the Defense Intelligence Agency, and also as the Assistant Director for National Intelligence.
Okay, so at some point there is a separation of ways, and it pretty much is right after Obama says that ISIS is the JV team. The following month, you come out and you say to Congress, they're going to be one of the most dangerous terrorist organizations, and the marriage is over at that point. Yes? Yeah,
I mean, ISIS, as we've seen, they have been expanding ever since we unplugged out of Iraq in 2011. When we achieved victory through really up through 2011, and then this president and Hillary Clinton as the Secretary of State, who could not, cut the deal at that time with Iraq, and we decided to unplug, it left such a vacuum, and it created the rise of ISIS, and we're in the middle of it right now. And ISIS, as it stands today, is in about 32 countries, probably more than that. They have already threatened our election, and they're talking about conducting attacks in this country, possibly in I think it's 2 or 3 states right now.
All right.
So it's just crazy.
All of this happens under Obama and under Hillary, and Hillary's going to continue the Obama policies. Yeah. But Hillary says the one thing she's going to do now is she's going to have an intelligence surge. That's her way to fight ISIS now. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what that means. I mean, here's what it really comes down to. And frankly, Hillary Clinton, and I can tell you that the one thing, rather than really talking about her, what Donald Trump would bring to our foreign policy and our foreign partners, our allies and friends around the world, is a much stronger relationship. I'm telling you, Judge, that I have spoken to many leaders around the world, both in Asia, in the Asia-Pacific theater, as well as in the Middle East and Europe. And they all look forward to working with Donald Trump because they just do not trust Hillary Clinton, and they do not see her for somebody who is trustworthy. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is.
And with respect to Donald Trump, I mean, they see him as a guy, what? Why do they see Donald Trump?
Well, because he's very straightforward. What you see is what you get. He is somebody who is honest when it comes to to dealing with leaders. I mean, he is a leader that they can respect. He is someone who has gained an awful lot of respect in the year and a half that he's been involved in this political campaign that he's been a part of. And I think what they see is somebody who demonstrates extraordinary leadership skills, who they're going to be looking up to, and they're going to be looking forward to working with the United States of America, where we have dumped allies and friends under this administration, to include Hillary Clinton, around the world, and they have no idea, Judge, what our current situation, what we are. They're so uncertain about our policies and what we stand for.
All right. General Michael Flynn, thanks so much for being with us tonight. And Governor Mike Huckabee is still ahead tonight. And next, a late-breaking look at the constantly changing electoral map. Republican pollster Frank Luntz is standing by live. And joining me now is Republican pollster Frank Luntz. Frank, we'll talk about polls in a moment, but first, what do you make of this? Things are starting to get tense on the trail. How does this play out in the electorate?
Well, they've gotten tense before, and it has actually worked to Donald Trump's advantage. That the public does not want to see these fights. They don't want to see this kind of physical behavior, and they frankly had enough of this election campaign. And I've been watching carefully over the last 8 or 9 days, and that undecided vote, that uncommitted vote, has moved from Hillary Clinton towards Donald Trump. 9 days ago, she had a 6.7% lead. Today, she's only got a 2% lead. And it's because of events like this that the public looks and they say, he's merely trying to put out his message. And what happens? protesters on the left try to take him down.
And in addition to that, what we're learning from people like O'Keefe and some of the other stuff that's coming out is that people in the Democratic committee are paying others, to actually incite this kind of anger. And then the Democrats come out and they say, these Republicans they're just horrible people. But, so, you kind of, it dovetails together and it's kind of clear what's going on here. But I want to talk about something that you said the last time you were on. And you talked about the fact that what matters is Florida, Pennsylvania, and Ohio. You said you really didn't care about the national numbers. Where are we right now in those states?
And that's very important, that the national numbers do not matter. I believe that Donald Trump is going to take two states that Republicans have not been able to take up to this point in recent elections, which is Ohio and Iowa. I would actually write them off at this point. I also believe that Donald Trump is sufficiently ahead in Georgia and Arizona to remove those states. Now, I need to put a caveat here, which is in Florida, Hillary Clinton's get out the vote effort, her targeting, her micro-targeting, the texts, the emails is extremely effective, and it is very much in play in Florida, which makes that state too close to call. In Nevada, which has been moving towards Donald Trump, and in fact, in the most recent polls, Trump is now ahead in Nevada. The problem is the early voting has very much leaned towards the Democrats. They're pulling out people thanks to the unions, thanks to organized labor in Las Vegas. And so Nevada, which should, based on the polling, now be in Trump's camp, to me, it looks like it may narrowly go for Hillary Clinton because of early voting. Therefore, I'm watching North Carolina and Colorado, that those are the two states that I believe will determine this election. And at this point, Clinton has a 3-point lead in Colorado, and it is dead even in North Carolina.
All right, I want to go back to something you said earlier about Florida. You said that because of the early voting and because of the texting and emailing that Hillary's doing, look, no one has captured social media like Donald Trump, Ivanka, Donald Jr., and Eric. I think between the three of them, they've got something like 30, 40 million followers. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. She can text and email all she wants. Actually, she should stop emailing because, that's a problem that she's got with the FBI and the Justice Department and all that. But I digress. I can't imagine that there's any competition between the Clinton camp and the Trump camp as it relates to social media.
No, but actually the micro-targeting, which is knowing what each voter thinks in each individual household so that you can send the precise message to that individual at the right time. The Clinton campaign invested tens of millions of dollars into grassroots and micro-targeting, and the Trump campaign simply didn't. And if Hillary Clinton wins in Florida, based on the numbers that we have right now, it will be because of that. I don't disagree with you. Donald Trump has something like 25 million Facebook and Twitter followers, and that is significant. More people hear from him than anybody else in American politics. But, and this is an important but, she has gone ahead over the last 3 or 4 days. The trend has been in her favor, and she has a turnout mechanism that is almost as good as Barack Obama in 2012. And so I provide this warning, this caveat to viewers, that Donald Trump cannot win the election without winning Florida.
But here's the difference between Hillary and Barack. She can't pull them like Barack can. Frank Luntz, that's what I think. Anyway, thanks so much for being with us tonight. My next guest can talk a little bit about this with us. Fox News contributor and former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee joins us now from Florida. All right, good evening, Governor. We just saw a rather frightening scene, Donald Trump being rushed off stage, and it seemed like a raucous event. And the Secret Service obviously thinking it's serious enough to take him off stage. But in clearly Trump fashion, Donald back on stage and continuing with the rally. What do you make of this?
Well, first of all, Judge, you've been around Donald Trump. You know that this is one of the most energetic human beings I've ever seen. I've been with him on the campaign trail. He runs circle around people who are half his age. I want you to think about how many events he's doing a day. And unless people have ever done something like this, they have no idea the drain upon a person's physical body. And yet Donald Trump goes out there, rally after rally. He's doing multiple events, plus the travel,
plus the interviews, plus calling people. It's not just like he gets on the plane and takes a nap. He's meeting, he's talking with his staff, he's making phone calls. That's the first thing people need to know. But related to this rally, one of the things that's happening, there are so many rallies, and these are being planned not weeks in advance, hours in advance, literally hours. And it is an incredible security challenge. And I want to say kudos to the Secret Service and to the police forces for being able to manage what is a very challenging situation.
And, you know, Governor, I have to tell you, I mean, in addition to all of those issues that you spoke about, you know, with the drain from traveling and all the meetings and all that, there's one piece that you didn't mention, and that is the stress of the incoming, of all of the, you know, shots that are coming in, what's got to be responded to, what doesn't have to be responded to. And, you know, in the last 72 hours of the campaign, what is she going to hit him with? And you know what's interesting, in terms of what she's going to hit him with, all of her commercials right now are all negative about him. She doesn't have one positive thing to say about herself.
Well, what would she say? Hey, I haven't been arrested yet. You know, they haven't found all those emails, thank God. I mean, what else can she say? This is a person who is so surrounded by corruption that everywhere she walks, it's like the character Linus in Peanuts when every time he takes a step, and no, it's the guy with the dirt that just comes off. And it's like everywhere Hillary walks, there's just little clouds of dirt and corruption that keep coming off. What can she say? The fact is, she has no business being commander-in-chief or president. You made that very clear in your opening comments tonight, and I thought it was right on target. What Donald Trump has demonstrated is that he's a leader. He knows how to take command, take charge. He brings people to a point of wanting to follow. And I've said many times, Judge, Donald Trump looks like somebody who is going somewhere. Hillary Clinton looks like somebody who's sorry she's been.
Let me ask you this. Are you concerned about any of the problems with voting and, you know, a rigged election and all the problems we're hearing about? Or, you know, do you think that this is going to be something that will be relatively easy in terms of the ballot counting?
You know, I can hope that it's going to be done with great integrity. But, I mean, when you have incidences like the situation in California where a guy goes to his doorstep and there's 85 ballots, you know, at his door, we know that there are problems. Is it enough to swing an election? At a national level, probably not. I was in Pennsylvania earlier today, and one of the things that you hear is a concern. But I'll tell you something else that is very evident. There is an enthusiasm level for Donald Trump that is simply staggering. I was in a suburb of Philadelphia last night, in Lancaster earlier today. Listen, people in places like Pennsylvania, they're going to vote. I think he will carry Pennsylvania. And by the way, if you want to know why you can be just assured that the Clintons are scared to death about it, that's where they're going to be on Monday night, and they're bringing the Obamas. They're bringing, I think, their pals Jay-Z and Beyonce, so they can give us some of those wholesome lyrics that they love to do.
And I got to go. I wonder how steel country and coal miners think of Obama and Hillary Clinton. Is it going to make a darn bit of difference? But we'll see, and I'm sure we'll see you Tuesday night. Governor Mike Huckabee, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, and more on tonight's security scare with our political panel next. Things are getting very tense as we get towards the end here, and let's talk about it with my all-star political panel, GOPAC Chairman, Republican strategist David Avella, and Principal at Dewey Square Group, Democratic strategist Marianne Marsh. All right, things getting a bit tense, huh, Marianne?
It's that time of year, unfortunately, and you never want to see anything like this happen. It certainly happened at both rallies for both candidates throughout this campaign, but you know, glad everything's fine and don't want to see it again between now and Tuesday for sure.
Was Hillary ever rushed off a stage? I'm not sure I ever saw that.
Secret Service did go on the stage at one of her events when she was threatened from front, and I think you remember that a couple months ago. That did happen, yes.
Ah, okay. And David, what do you make of all this?
Well, tensions are high, and earlier today I saw a report where actually a Bernie Sanders supporter got taken off the stage at a Hillary Clinton rally. So tensions are high in this election, and in case you didn't have enough of it, today's daylight savings time, so we get one more hour of election 2016.
Oh, all right. I thought you were going to say one more hour of sleep. sleep. So, I mean, that wouldn't be so bad. All right, look, you know what? Marianne, I'll start with you. She is using events to generate enthusiasm. Jay-Z, Beyonce, Katy Perry. And I think that the comparison is stunning. Whereas people are waiting in line for hours for Donald Trump, they're almost, and I think they pay a small fee for the cleanup afterwards. I don't know quite what it is. And yet she's got to give away free tickets for people to show up, but otherwise she can't fill up a room. Do you think that those people are really going to go out and vote for her?
Well, actually, it's far more than that. These events actually deliver votes. Everybody who goes to these events ends up voting after the event. You have to show up in person to get the ticket. Inevitably, where you pick up that ticket is across from a voter registration location and a voting location. When the event is over, you go out and vote. If the voting place is further than a couple blocks, they actually put you in shuttle buses to go there. So they're actually delivering votes after all of these events, and that's the big difference here.
Okay, all right. So
you
then
have
it's where they're actually voting. It's where there's early voting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
And I mean, you know, that makes sense that they would do that. All right. So then
it's very smart.
Okay, it is very smart. Well, let me ask you a question. You know, they've called Donald Trump all kinds of names. You want to add to that, David?
Let me just add to that last point. But it's also necessary for the Clinton campaign, because who would have thought that 3 months ago the Democrats were talking about, oh, we're going to put Georgia in play, and we're going to put Arizona in play, and we're going to put Donald Trump on the defensive. And here we are 3 days before the election, and Hillary Clinton has to defend what should be home turf for her. She's going to Pennsylvania, she's going to Michigan, and she's bringing all the people to the stage that helped get President Obama elected. And why? Because she can't get them herself.
All right, now, Marianne, I want to go. I want to go to the lyrics. Now, Donald Trump has been called a lot of names, and I find it shocking, to be honest with you. And I haven't heard anyone talk about this. Well, I'm going to do it. Jay-Z lyrics, songs that he actually sang last night, include things like "Ladies is Pimps" and "Middle Finger to the Law." That was in his opening song. And his next song had to do with calling gays a name that begins with F, running to the po-pos. They should be smoke 'em like cocoa, and you know, the hell with that. Leave holes in some guys' clothes and use your Glock. And then Beyonce comes out and she sings that song "Formation," which is basically a salute to Black Lives Matter, and saying stop shooting us.
2 quick points. First, to David's point, Hillary Clinton's going to Pennsylvania and Michigan because they don't have early voting, and they vote on Tuesday. So that's a traditional get out the vote rally, and that's how you time them. You always time these things to when people are voting. As to the things that were said last night, neither Jay-Z or Beyonce are running for president. Donald Trump is, and you should compare the words from Donald Trump that we've heard throughout this campaign compared to both of them. You can make your judgment on that, but he's running for president.
You can say that neither Jay-Z nor Beyonce are running for president, but when someone running for president is using these people as the vehicle to get young people to vote and holding them up as some kind of, you know, people to look up to, every other word is F and every other word is N, and then, you know, something that I can actually say that doesn't have a curse word: when he F'd me good, I take his ASS to the Red Lobster. I mean, this is awful. Shoot the, you know, at gays, run into the popo, smoke them like cocoa if they turn you in, if you have drugs. I mean, this is a whole undercurrent that's anti-law enforcement, civil order.
I mean, voters have had the chance to hear from Donald Trump and many things he's said. They're making their judgment on that. They can also make their judgment, if you want, in terms of the people that Hillary Clinton has at these events. But Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton are the candidates. Judge them exactly by what they say.
Well, I judge her by her messenger, that's for sure. What do you say?
Well, not one single undecided voter is going to vote for Hillary Clinton because Jay-Z is on the stage. What they are going to make their decisions on.
Yeah, but Marianne says they are.
But they're going to make their decision on whether they know about Hillary Clinton. And here's what we know. She's under an FBI investigation, and past performance is a good indicator of future, and she has had one scandal after another follow her in her entire career.
David Avella, Marianne Marsh. Sorry, Marianne. Thanks so much. Street Justice is next. So I headed to New York City's Trump Tower to find out just how sick of it everyone is.
Have you had enough of this campaign season?
I'll be glad when it's over, but I haven't had enough.
What do you mean you haven't? You want more?
I love it.
If you had enough
voting for more and more.
Oh, come on. Aren't you tired of this?
Yes, let's just vote.
But I guess it's been a long journey for both of the candidates.
Yeah, it's been a long journey for America. Forget them. Is he going to do it or is she going to do it?
I think he's surging at the right time, so I really think he's going to win it.
Okay, well, Hillary's in a whole lot of trouble.
Yeah, I suppose. They both seem to be...
Well, she's in legal, criminal, federal trouble.
Maybe.
She's been doing the same thing for 30 years. She's claiming she's going to